Hi and welcome to this week's Bitrix24 Live. My name is Andy and I am the support manager here at Gold Partners Interface. So this session is really all about answering any questions that you may have with regards to Bitrix24. So whether you're using the cloud version of Bitrix, so the free version straight up to the professional, or the on-premise version, and you have any questions on either of those types of Bitrix, then we have both systems up and running on the screen and we can answer those as we go along. If you do have any questions throughout the week, so before the Thursday session, please do email us at sales@intraface.com or to live@intraface.com. So as I mentioned, we are gold partners of Bitrix24. We're located in the US, in the UK and in Dubai. So if you do have any enquiries with regards to setting up a one-to-one demonstration, or if you need some implementation support, or even if you're just wanting to buy a license, please do get in touch with your most local office and we can assist with that. We also offer premium support, so we offer ticketing and telephone support, so should you have any queries throughout the week, then we can answer those on the telephone or through our portal using the ticketing system. So as I say, this is 1 hour's worth of essentially free support, so please do put your questions in and hopefully I can answer them as we go along. We've had a couple of questions that came in prior to this session, so hopefully I can start off on those. So as I mentioned a moment ago, we have the on-premise version up on the screen here, but we also have the cloud version up as well. So any questions on either, then I can hopefully show you on that particular system. So the first question that came in was with regards to adding observers via a business process. So if we need to be in the on-premise version of this because it's not actually possible at the moment on a cloud version. So if we go into the CRM, and what I'm referring to with regards to observers is there is a field if we were to go into a particular lead. We have observers. We might want to add observers in if they are assisting with a particular lead. So some people have their leads in Bitrix set up so sales agents can only see their own leads, which is very common inside Bitrix. And if you ever want to bring in additional people so other sales agents can see those leads, then what we can do is we can add observers into the lead, which will then give them permission to view. Now the question with regards to what I'm going to show you in a moment was how can we add an observer in who we want to approve this lead essentially. So if we go into our workflows in the top right hand corner, click on run workflow, and then we have an approval process here. So at the moment we have this particular CRM set up as only being able to see your own leads. What we wanted to do is when we send this lead for an approval, we wanted to bring in this particular individual to the observers so that the person approving can actually review the lead itself, because as standard Harriet Segal would not be able to see this lead in the lead section of Bitrix. So we're going to bring in this through a business process. So let's just show you the process. I built it beforehand. So this is an example of if you do have a business process that you want to know how to build, know how to work. We can do it beforehand, before these sessions, and I'll be able to show you on the screen. So if we go into automation here, and then business processes, and then into templates. The one I created was called approve. So if I click on approve here, then what we've done is in template parameters, we have, let's close this one down, we have a variable. So this is, we're going to set a variable as observers. And then in the parameters, so this is the form that pops up when we manually run the business process. So we have select approver, which is a user field, and we have notes, which is a text field. We click on save. So the first thing that we're doing on here is setting the variable. So we drag this and drop it onto set variable, and where the variable on the left hand side is add to observer. Just bear with me 2 moments. So the variable on the left hand side is add to observer. We are actually setting the template approver to, so this is the one that they fill in on the lead when they run the workflow. So if we click on save. Now the main thing, and the reason why I'm showing you on the on-premise version, is because we click on this one, and this is actually a PHP block. So the PHP block here will bring in the code we need to be able to add the variable that we're setting to the observer field. Now this is the difference with regards to having a cloud account to having an on-premise. We can do a little bit more on the on-premise because we have this block here on the right hand side. So if you do have a process that needs a little bit of customization, and you don't see these on the action on that you want on the right hand side, then we can use this PHP block, and that's going to add it to observer. And then we have the approve element, and you can see if it's approved, then we update the status. So that's pretty straightforward. It's just this block here that is the custom element to this particular process. So if we run it, let's have a look at what it does. So we click on leave. In fact, we'll go back to close this tab down, and we'll run it on S. Smith here. So at the moment, you can see that the observer field is empty. And then let's run the approve. So let's click on select, and let's select Harriet as an example, and then we can send some notes to Harriet. Please approve this lead. Click on start. You can see that the workflow has now started. Now if I give it a refresh, click back into S. Smith here, you can now see that Harriet has been added to an observer. So you could use that code block in essentially any business process or any automation that you may have. It is, like I say, a pretty handy code block to have. It's been requested quite a number of times from a number of clients of ours to be able to add an observer in through a business process. So what that's going to do is, if I go to my workflows now, I should be able to, if I just order by the ID. So in fact, yeah, I think it's actually already been approved. So it would appear in here if we had the, in fact it's actually gone to Harriet, hasn't it? It's not gone to John Smith. So if Harriet came to her workflows, clicked on here, then Harriet would be able to see whether she could approve or decline that particular lead. So that's how, as simple as it is to be able to add observers to leads through a business process. So that's one example. I have a couple more questions to go through, so if you do have any questions, please ask away in the box on YouTube. If no other questions do come through, then obviously the session will end, so I won't have any further questions to answer. Again, if you missed the start, those are our contact details on the screen. If you have any queries about Bitrix during the week, please do get in touch with us using one of those contact methods via your local office. One of our team can answer any questions that you may have. So we had a question as well come through with regards to SMS. Now, we have been looking into this question a little bit during the week, and it's just with regards to sending SMS messages out. So we've been through it a couple of times before of how we can send messages out. It's pretty straightforward. So we click on SMS. We should be able to find out all the SMS providers, so you can see in here. But we can also, on here, what we would recommend is using Twilio for SMS now. So you can see here, Twilio SMS. And what we can do on this is being able to obviously send SMS messages out of Bitrix. We can actually now, through the application, receive SMS messages back into Bitrix. I know it's been a request by quite a number of people, so there is actually an application to do so now. So if you install that SMS application, you will be able to send messages from, as long as you've got it, obviously you need to set up a Twilio account, but you can click into a lead, a contact, a company within the CRM, click on SMS here, you will see Twilio. We've got Plevo connected at the moment. You'll be able to say hello. Still interested in Bitrix. Click on send. There's actually no number on this particular lead, so we can't send the SMS message. So if we wanted to change that, we would just need to add a telephone number. Click on save, and let's try that again just to see that it's working. Click on send. I think I might have to refresh the page, just bear with me 2 seconds. But what that will do essentially is record the message that's being sent out of Bitrix. So you can see hello. Click on send. And now that it's got a number, you can see that the message has been sent. If it comes with an error, it's because that telephone number is actually wrong. I just typed in a random number. But the message stores in the activity stream. And then with Twilio connected, if they were to reply to that message, it would look for the number that's in Bitrix and it would put it into this activity stream on the right hand side as well. So it's really powerful now that we can get SMS messages back in to Bitrix rather than just sending them out. So that's a two-way integration. That's the application that's needed on there. And then the other things with the SMS, while I'm on the subject, is that we can send SMS campaigns out. So we can create a segment inside Bitrix, which is essentially a mailing list, and then create that mailing list, SMS list, send out all the campaigns in here. So if we were to create a normal campaign, select your segment, select the text that you want to send to that particular SMS list, click save, and then we can schedule that SMS campaign out. So again, it can be quite a powerful tool to start generating those interests in those inquiries. So that's the second area of using SMS. And then the third and final is obviously in your automation and your business processes. So if we click in, still in the leads at the moment, we have automation rules set up here. Then we can configure those automation rules, client communications, to send an SMS message out. So what that is essentially doing is once a new lead gets created, it will automatically always go into new lead status. But once we move it into the call client status, then it will trigger this particular action block and send an SMS message out to your lead. And it's all automatic, so it's a good way of trying to communicate and keep in contact with that particular inquiry that's come in. So we have a question, is it possible to separate leads, deals, quotes, invoices based on the financial year? So, I mean, all depends on, I suppose you can set specific filters to filter out each one of those. So if you are, for example, basing your leads on what leads did you receive in your financial year, then you can create a filter. So we could create it on and specify, if we scroll down to a custom range. So if your financial year was August last year to August this year, then you could specify the created on date for those particular leads. And that's the same in invoices, that's the same in deals, that's the same in quotes, the exact same filters there. If you wanted to be able to do that, that would give you a filtered list. If you're looking into the reporting side in the dashboard, they don't actually have the custom range within this particular period, or they didn't have the last time I checked, no. So you would only have this year, which means 2019. So if your year runs from the 1st of January to the 31st of December, then this dashboard is absolutely fine. However, they have brought in, and I just need to jump into the cloud version of this, with regards to having a dashboard for your financial year, because obviously everybody's financial year can be different. So if we go into the CRM analytics page and actually look at the lead analysis, let's say for example, we can actually start looking at a reporting period, and this is slightly different because we can say a custom range in here. So if you go into your CRM analytics, it does provide you with a dashboard view of being able to select a custom range rather than being fixed to a report dashboard which just says year or month or last 3 months set ranges. So your analytics, CRM analytics, is most likely going to be a better outcome in terms of your financial year. So you can do that in the leads, in your sales, which is referring to the deal side of Bitrix. And this is still in beta, so this is going to expand and grow over time. So things like invoices, I think maybe you can get invoices in here. If we were to go into the sales funnel, this is based on pipelines in the deals, but I'm not 100% sure we can pull in an actual invoice in this in the moment. So those essentially are your reporting tools to be able to report on leads and deals for a specific year. With regards to quotes and invoices, you are definitely best to use the filtering tools within the CRM. So if I was to pull up on invoices, then again we have essentially we have many dates in invoices. Actually, we have invoice date itself, don't we? So we could click into here. Let's have a look on here. It's a deadline. Maybe we set the deadline. You can put that on there. So there are many ways of filtering for your particular financial year. And like you say, pay before, created on. I think when you're in the Kanban view, you do have a little bit more of a limited filtering system. You would need to go into the list view and be able to specify. I would always say either created on, or I think we have an invoice pay date. I'm not sure on here. Maybe close date is the one on here. So you have access to all those fields to be able to create a filter. And if you ever wanted to get the data out of Bitrix based on that filter that you've created, you can easily create a filtered list, click on the little gear icon and export invoices to CSV. So you can export that data out of Bitrix very easily in terms of leads, deals, quotes and invoices. So just a point about the exporting side of Bitrix is that if you want to export specific field data from an invoice, for an example, So if I wanted to, let's just say we wanted the number, we didn't want the subject, we wanted the total, of course. We wanted the created date, and let's have the currency, and let's have the invoice date as well. So I've set these dates here. What we can do if we export invoices to CSV, just don't select export all invoice fields. Now if you don't select this checkbox on here, then it will export the columns that you are showing, and it will also export only your filtered list. So it's definitely the best way to do it if you want specific fields that you want out of Bitrix. So hopefully that answers your question. Please do, like I say, put your questions forward to me. I have one or two more questions. Let me just put our contact details back up on the screen. So if you do have questions that come in the week, I'll just reiterate that please do send them to sales@intraface.com, and maybe that we even build the processes up before the actual session itself, like we did at the start, showing you how to add an observer to a lead through a business process or automation. We actually built that one beforehand just to be able to show you. We can always export any processes that we build during these sessions. So if you ever want to try out the processes that we've built for Bitrix Live, then again get in touch with us and just ask us to send you the business process. So for any business process that you create, you can easily export that information and import it into your own system. So you can see automation is here. Click on business processes, and we'll have a look at the approved one that we just created before this session. Click into it, and it's a simple case of clicking on export, and we will then get a business process file. So if you do want any of the processes that we ever build on these sessions, we can do so on here. So I had a question this morning just with regards to, it's not something that's on Bitrix, but it was regard to the hosting of Bitrix Cloud and the on-premise. So with the Bitrix Cloud version, then Bitrix host it themselves. They host it on an AWS Amazon server, and based on your location, it will be most likely in the closest region to you. If you have an on-premise version, then you can host it yourself on your own server or instance on Google or Amazon. And if you want a partner to host it, then they can host it for you. All they would usually ask for is the space that you require. So the drive space, if you're going to have a lot of documents, it's usually recommended to maybe start with 100 gig. And then go from there. So if you're using a lot of documents, you obviously need more storage. Storage is usually expandable, so as you go on our system, especially for our hosting of the on-premise versions for our clients, it's very easy to extend the drive space on that particular server. So as long as if you are hosting it yourself for an on-premise, as long as you've got the backup schedule in place and a server that's high enough spec for hosting Bitrix, then you'll be absolutely fine hosting the on-premise version. Intraface as a partner will assist you along the way. We can install Bitrix for you if you are looking at the on-premise version, so we can help, and yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, just please put your questions through if there are any more questions. So I've got a question, just going back to the CRM marketing. This is probably the last question if there's no others that come through. Just with regards to how to create your mailing lists. So there's a pretty quick and easy way to create mailing lists. Then if we click on leads, click into the list view here, and then we don't have too many leads in here. Maybe if we just open up, we'll have quite a few. So we have a lot of lists, we have a lot of leads in here now. What we would always recommend doing is try and build your mailing list up to be of some relevance to what you're mailing out. So it may be that you have people come in from a number of different sources that are interested on different products, for example. So we could actually look on here. Let's just say we will check all the leads that have a source of call. So they've actually called in to the office. If we click on filter, it will then filter our list out. We check the box on here, check on select action at the bottom, and then add to segment. What we can actually do is either create a new segment, which is essentially a mailing list or a call list, and then, or we can add it to an existing list or segment that we already have inside Bitrix. So we could add it to our exhibition leads. If we click on apply, that will then take all of those leads and all their contact details, and then if you go into the CRM marketing, click into segments, we should now see that they have been added to the exhibition leads segment. And then we can use that segment to then send out a campaign to. So it's a good way of the integration, showing you how the integration between the CRM works and the CRM marketing tool works. You can easily create segments. One other question that comes up quite often, if somebody was to unsubscribe from your mailing lists, then if they were to then be added to another mailing list, they would not get sent out this particular email or SMS. They would be essentially blacklisted from any future communications using the CRM marketing tool. So it is quite a common question. So I don't have any more questions that have come through. Okay, so I think that's it. If there's no more questions that have come through, I don't have any. Please do send them in for next week. But other than that, I will see you next week. We're here every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern time, and we're here for an hour. So please do get your questions in for that session.